Come inside the LL Gardens. This is LL Gordon's greenhouse. This is our media bed here. This is bed B, and it drains through bell siphons down to our flow bed down here at the bottom. This is where we're going to put our lights and lettuce. Our flow beds drain back to the sump tank. This bed right here is not in operation yet. We're still under construction. We got plans for 2 more big beds, well actually 4. 2 more media beds, 2 more flow beds here in the center. This is bed A. Same setup. Inlet water comes in and it's going to be full with rock, and it drains down to the flow bed down here, which then drains back down into the sump tank, which is pumped back through with the sump pump. The inlet valves and piping on the back bed has not been set up, but they are stubbed out. If you look right here, you can see the stubs. We're going to 90 them up and bring them back even with these. This system, though the piping is higher than our tanks, once it fires off, you can unplug the pump and it will draft itself. It will flow without the pumps. It's slower, much slower, but it will not kill your system because it's getting some water. It just takes a lot longer. So in emergency, it will flow its own rate. We got 2 bell siphons to each bed. The big bed in the back is going to have 3. We use this building with the solid walls because, like I said, we wanted to secure it. We wanted also to be able to teach in it and show people and walk through. We greenhoused it with the PVC. Learned this off the YouTube. Fantastic. The reason I went with this building shape is because I already had access to the building. I built this building about 10 years ago on another piece of property. So we went July 7th, I'm sorry, of 2014, and we started deconstructing the building. We took it down, we brought it over here, piece by piece, we rebuilt the building, and then we started building everything on the inside. We haven't put in the vent fans yet because we've had actually a pretty cold winter this far south in Louisiana, but it's quickly warming up. Right now it's about 102 degrees in here. The next thing is going to be the vent fans to start cooling this thing down. Also what they call a garage screen. It's a screen vinyl that mounts on the outside and allows screening and venting when you open your garage door without all the trash and the insects. It is completely sealed up and powered. All our plugs are above the water level. As we fill these beds, these plugs will be used for lighting, and then we'll drop center plugs through the middle. We have kept the cost so far, to date, so far all we have spent is $4,200 for everything you see here. This is the pumps, tanks, everything, permits and all. We have tried to keep the budget under $5,000. We worked really hard, and a lot of good companies like bedliner companies and others worked with us and given us discounts to try to keep that budget flowing. These right here are Venturi T's on our drains. The only reason I got them out right now is because I want to demonstrate the differences of what they do, and they're naturally going to go back up underneath the beds and anchor behind the mylar. We hung mylar to increase the lighting. It's a cheap way to multiply the lighting and to keep your expense down on your electric bill and the expense of lighting in it, using the natural light as much as possible. So far, the whole entire system has worked out better than expected. Really well. We start adding rock tomorrow. We will start planning within 2 weeks of that. We're using already seasoned water from my son's farm to prime the system so that we can get a jump on it instead of letting it do its normal cycle for several weeks. He's got several hundred gallons that we're going to start pulling off of. His system is about 550 gallon system, so we're going to draft 30-40 gallons a day off of it and start priming this system with it. We're fixing to do a complete washout and flush. As you can see, everything had water in it. We tested everything. We let the water sit in all the beds for 7 days to make sure absolutely no leaks. Sometimes it can leak uphill and it might take it a few days to drain downhill. Underneath the beds, mylar is hung up right here, all at the top. On that side, you can see there's mylar on the back. We are going to mount lights underneath here on these rails grow lights, and they're going to show the mylar. Don't film that. They're going to show the mylar and use the mylar as an extra reflectiveness to feed the lettuce and that down here. Lettuce is a half light, from what I understand. It takes about half the light, everything else. So we're going to plant all our lettuce in that in the bottom beds and use the grow lights to intensify the lighting that's coming in, because the upper beds do cast a shadow somewhat for a good bit of the day. In here, we're also going to put bigger lights running through here for the media beds on the top come winter time. I'm going to do a method that, from what I understand, is called the bed and breakfast method. You wake them up with the lights in the winter time when your days are short. You have your lights on timer that kick in and give you lights for a few hours in the morning, then they kick off once the sun. We're going to put a sensor out there that picks up on the sun, and once the sun comes up, the lights will shut off. Then as the sun is up all the rest of that day, the short day, it will use the sunlight as lighting, except for the bottom beds. They will use their lighting constant. Then once the sun sets, it will kick back on to give them 14 hours of light every day, and that's when you put them to bed. So this method is called the bed and breakfast method. You don't need super amounts of light, just enough to kind of wake them up until the sun gets in there, giving them that 14 hours of light that they need. The reason for the higher walls, instead of having the walls all the way down, is because I knew I was going to be putting mylar up here. So since I was going to be putting mylar already up here, I decided to go ahead and make the walls of metal higher, less likely of anything punching through or coming through and getting inside the greenhouse, animals and that. The house, we are going to do a video as we built this system. We have pictured every step of the way. Every weekend, me and my sons have worked on this. I have a full-time job, so this was done on weekends. This was done on days off. Christmas Day, we were setting the pole for power. So we've done this on what little extra time we could get. We set this sucker up on blocks. We made a chain link fence, a chain link wall of cinder blocks, and we mounted the building on that. We have a major termite problem here in Louisiana. We have actually two types of termites here in Louisiana. Anything that sits on the ground here, you can kiss it pretty much goodbye. Even treated wood. I don't want to hear from any of you guys out there. When I originally built this thing, it was sitting on treated lumber, and literally we replaced a lot of the wood because it was ate up with termites. So we built a 8-inch chain link cinder block wall, and then we set the building, the wall plates on that. What that does is it doesn't protect me from the termites, but what it does, it allows me to see any mounds that might be trying to burrow their way up, build them in a little trough up. They usually look like ant mounds on the side of the bricks, and you can knock them down before they can get to your wood. All the cinder blocks are filled with concrete. Rebar drove down through all of them, and then sticking up about 4 inches inside the hose, the center gap of the blocks, and then concrete filled in to give it stability and grip. The front, all this front was dug and poured. We dug and poured, and we're going to still slope it. We haven't got to that point yet. Inside and out, we're going to build slopes so it's easier to come in and out with the wheelbarrows. We're going to have 3 foot between each bed all the way around. And I know some of you are going to say, well, that's useless, a lot of useless space. We designed this system to function with ease. We want something like this that you can do at home, and that you do not have to have somebody 20 years old to work it. You need to be able to move around easy. You need to be able to get the wheelbarrows around easy. You want to be able to harvest your stuff without bruising it. You want to be able to work it as relatively easy as possible. We'll wait for the yield and see. Depending on the yield, we might make these inside beds larger. But if it yields even half as good as we're hoping for, we should be able to keep that 3 foot span between all of this, so you can move wheelbarrows, you can move whatever, because every so often you will have to clean the system. I don't care how clean you keep it from getting there. Eventually you will have to tear down these beds and wash the rock and everything. We're hoping for a 3 to 5 year span. 5 year would be great, but 3 years might be necessary. But you want to be able to get them wheelbarrows in here, you want to be able to work these beds, you want to be able to get the material out, get it washed, and get it back in relatively easy. So that's what we were looking at. We also, in doing this, we have ran across some issues. We've looked on the internet for answers, couldn't find none. So we have learned to work around them issues, and we have come up with some new innovative ideas to solve some of the problems that we've seen out there. A lot of people have shied away from the media beds, especially your bigger ones, because it seems to me the only thing we can find out there is the only way to have the bell siphons work properly is to have bigger and bigger bell siphon for your big bed instead of having multiple bell siphons. The problem we have run across and we've found on the net that it's really hard to get multiple bell siphons to hit exactly the same time every time, guaranteed, and to get them to break. We have found a solution for that. We have come up with a solution. Our bell siphons, 2, 4, 10, 30, 50, it doesn't matter how many you got. You can get them all to hit all exactly the same time, every time, guaranteed. Now we've run these bell siphons with this method of hooking them up. This one right here has run 5 times consistently, then we stopped. Then we ran it another 10 times in a row without a single flaw or issue, without a problem. The bed behind us, we virgined them bell siphons. The day we cut them bell siphons and dropped them on the hoe was yesterday. We filled it up and they both fired 3 times in a row consistently, and they were virgin bell siphons without an issue. So we think we've figured a solution. Instead of having bigger and bigger bell siphons, which if any of you guys out there have done the big bell siphons, once you get past 3-inch pipe, you're really spending some money for the pipe, for the fittings. It's costly. A 14-inch bell siphon, 12-inch bell siphon, anything like that for enormous beds is expensive. By doing this, you can chain link multiple bell siphons, 1 inch, 3/4, ½ inch, and get the same flow rate without the massive expense and the massive space used up. These 2 bell siphons can flow so fast, can suck these beds down, even without the media in them right now. The drains cannot keep up. I have 3-inch-and-a-half drains. We got 1-inch bell siphons, 1-inch standpipe, and it cannot keep up with them. So it's a matter of flow, more bell siphons. A matter of timing, you know. But the thing of it is, it's cheaper. It costs me $17 to fix these bell siphons permanently and guarantee that I can walk away from here and not come back for a week, and they're going to hit every single time without fail. That, in my book, is priceless. Getting a media bed to be able to flow and be able to is easy. Getting a media bed with multiple bell siphons to drain seems to be the Achilles heel of aquaponics. I've seen many commercial systems. Every one of them I've seen that I know of, I haven't found one yet that has used media beds for commercial. I'm assuming, and believe me, I know that assuming can make you an ass. I'm assuming the reason why they have not done media beds to be able to grow bigger, stronger vegetables and allow them to hold themselves is 1, the cleaning problems with the beds. It's much more work to clean them. And 2, you can't drain them like you want to. You can't drain them like you need to. Well, we think we have an answer for that. And so far it has proven itself to be the answer. If this is so, you know, we want everybody to be aware of this, because for the first time, if this is the case, why media beds are not being used in commercial systems, you can build a commercial system with a media bed. And you can grow much larger plants in that, freestanding plants that can use the rock in that to hold itself up and do commercial growing on that scale. Instead of always lettuce, leafy greens, kale, stuff like that. We're talking about commercial cucumbers, commercial tomato plants, commercial all kinds of stuff that has to be self-holding.